In today's video, I'm going to be replacing the starter motor on a 3 Series BMW. It's an E90 with the N52 3-litre engine. I have already replaced the starter on this car. It was completely dead before, and that was about a month ago. It had been fine since, but unfortunately the replacement has become intermittent. In terms of diagnostic work, I did run various checks when I replaced this starter motor last time. I had this fault code, and we've got this fault code again this time. I swapped out the relay with that from my car because it's the same component and it made no difference. All the voltages were present and correct at the starter motor before I replaced it the first time. So I'm confident it is the starter itself that's causing the problem. This fault manifests when the vehicle's been driven for a while and then it's restarted while the engine's still hot. It does eventually restart after a while when it cools down, or if you're just persistent with it. And it's unusual for this to have happened because I fitted a new Bosch starter motor. Well, I say new, it was remanufactured in Ukraine. So today I've got to take this apart again, go back in there and replace it once again. And changing a starter motor on these is done purely from above. We disconnect this negative terminal and just tuck the wire down there so it's safe and out of harm's way. Now it's very important to note that if you have a pre-LCI car, you'll have a lock barrel on here which you can use to open the boot. If you've got a later LCI car and you just slam the boot shut, this little micro switch will not operate because there's no power and you will not be able to get into your boot. It will cause you a world of pain. As with many 6-cylinder BMWs, I need to remove all this plenum chamber assembly to be able to access the rearmost part of the engine. This looks daunting, but can be achieved in very little time. I can safely say I didn't break these bits. It was already like that. Removing this pollen filter assembly, these bolts, 8mm, they rarely grip. People make the mistake of using air tools or power tools. I should get with the times really, shouldn't I? And they over tighten them and strip these out. I always do these by hand. I do a lot of things by hand, and quite a few people have asked me why I don't use power tools, and that's mainly out of respect for my neighbours. Again, other things are broken on this car. I'd had to secure this loom section with these cable ties last time as somebody had broken the clips. You'll often see them like this. All this is now disconnected. And as you can see, we've now got full accessibility right to the back of the cylinder head here. I'm just removing these T20 screws. This enables removal of this duct, and I now want to get this air filter box out of the way, which is held in place with two 10mm bolts. Disconnect the air mass meter and undo this Jubilee clip for this intake pipe. The airbox can be removed, giving us much greater accessibility. Loosen another Jubilee clip at the other end of this intake hose. And this can be removed. The starter on these is kind of about down there, and we need to remove the intake manifold, or at least detach it in order to gain access to it. There are a few bits of wiring loom we need to remove from this manifold area, including the wiring for the oil pressure switch there, because we're going to need to get this out across to that side once we've removed the bolts and various nuts. And then of course there's this large breather hose here at the back. This fell to pieces last time because it was so brittle and old, so that is actually a new one. Silly money from BMW. To get this hose off, we have to squeeze together some little tabs on the ends of the hose. Now it'll be easier to show you this once it's off. And with this end off, you can see what you're trying to do here. By squeezing this together, it flares out these two pieces, which allows it to be released. It's a pig of a thing to do. To make things just a little bit easier, I'm going to release this fuel pipe. Now we have to accept there will be some petrol spillage because this is under pressure, so take extreme care, ensure there are no sources of ignition, that the engine's cold. We push the little blue tab in, and that allows us to release that with a little squirt of fuel there. And this pipe is secured to the manifold here. Let's remove this little torque screw, and we can release the fuel hose and get that out of the way in order to move this manifold that way. I'm hoping that the action of moving the intake manifold should free up a little bit more space so I can move that breather pipe from the inlet manifold if I need to. But bearing in mind that pipe costs just under £100 from BMW, I really don't want to damage it. I'm now going to remove the power steering reservoir and get that out of the way for accessibility reasons. Just a couple of 10mm nuts here. And we lift this off. We must be careful not to lose these little inserts as well. These have a habit of dropping out, so let's beat them to it and take them out and put them somewhere safe. We now have a series of nuts and bolts that hold the manifold against the cylinder head. These are 11mm. These nuts and bolts are removed. You don't need to see me do them all, but you get the idea. The one at the front and the three at the back are bolts. With the inlet manifold moved to one side, there is just enough room for me to get my hands through there to undo the positive connection here and the signal wire, and then reach in for the two mounting bolts. Unfortunately, these studs are rather in the way, and last time I did this job I looked like I'd had a fight with a feral cat. To remove the signal wire from the starter, we press this in and release. I can't get a camera in there to show you. And it's disconnected. By far the easiest way to explain this is that we've got two mounting bolts. It fits in like this. You've got this one here that bolts through from the gearbox side, and then we've got this one that bolts on from the engine side. And essentially I have to get down the back here, right by the bulkhead, with an 11mm spanner because I can't get an E14 socket on there, and do this turn at a time. This will not be possible to get on camera. I think you'll understand why. That was a bitch. And now this is out, you'll see it is an E14. Obviously we couldn't get the socket on there, hence using this 11mm spanner, which does fit. And it really is like a quarter of a turn at a time until it's sufficiently loose under there that you can get it spinning. We have the benefit of this having already been out, which has made it easier this time. Last time it was an absolute cow. This knock sensor also needs to be removed to allow the starter motor to be removed from the vehicle. I use a 10mm spanner for that due to where it is. It's just easier. It is an E something or other. And after more arm lacerations, I have finally managed to get the socket and the extension over a very elusive bolt. And just like that, the little bugger is out. And a shorter bolt on this side. Note these are aluminium. You can't pull them out with a magnet, so it's really important not to lose them. I'm wondering if these should be replaced actually, but we haven't got them, so these are going back in. Time to get the new one in. The easiest way to ensure that this actually remains attached is to tape it. And then once it's tightened up, I can just ease this free and the tape should come with the socket. The starter is fitted in terms of its mounting bolts. And I've retrieved my socket and the insulation tape. My strategy worked. Time to reconnect the positive connection. The positive terminal, the signal wire connector and the knock sensor are refitted. At this point you might think me crazy because technically we should be replacing these O-rings on the inlet manifold, which are effectively the inlet manifold gasket. But keeping them in place can prove difficult, and these are firmly in place, so I'm going to put this back as it is. No judging, please. The breather hose snaps back into position. Bracket for the fuel pipe. Refit the fuel pipe. Oil pressure switch. After many lacerations, most of it is back together. I'm going to finish this off tomorrow, which for me will be the next day, but for you will be right now. MS meter reconnected and both Jubilee clips tightened on this intake hose. This will have to be cable tied again as there is no longer anything to attach it to. This one was missing. I haven't got something identical, but I've got something that will at least secure it for the time being, until the correct bolt can be obtained. Everything back together, no screws or bolts left over, which is obviously always the case. A moment of truth. I'm very pleased that's all done, and I'm just hoping that that new starter motor lasts considerably longer than the previous one. Bit of a grotty job, accessibility is poor, and it's very tough on the arms to get down there past those nasty studs that stick out. But I'm kind of in the mood now, so I'm off to Longleat to wrestle with some real life big cats. I'll see you again in another one very soon. Meantime, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. Oh, Jesus Christ.